Hey guys, good afternoon. It's a beautiful day again. It's just beautiful to be outside, go for a walk and enjoy the nice warm weather and the birds. Just the sound of quiet, really. Yeah. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to make a video on different body types and stuff like that, and it has been asked of me a couple of times what works best. Ultimately, it's genetics, and genetics will dictate a lot of how much fat loss ability that you have, or in some cases gaining fat easily, as well as building muscle. And all these different things are essentially just preordained almost, and you can't change it all that much. Obviously, what we can do is work with the best that we can in terms of our body type and do the best that we can, and that's basically all we can do. And you'll always have that little hurdle of the actual the body type or the genetics that make you up essentially, and you'll always have that, and there's no sort of getting away from it. But you can always again work within that body type and do the best that you can do, and slowly develop that as to sort of the way that you want to go with it and how you want to look and feel and so forth. I'm not going to talk about it too much because most people who train are aware of the different body types, but very quickly, there's the classic ectomorph, which is essentially slim build, skinny build, tall, and not very much muscle mass, but also not very much fat, if any. Typically where there is fat is around the belly area or nipple area on men in particular. Then you've got your classic mesomorphs, and these are your very sort of muscular kind of guys, lots of muscle mass, not much body fat, maybe some, but definitely more on the muscular side, and they're your classic sort of bodybuilder types and stuff like that, the ones that actually easily gain muscle. Some of it obviously still is dedication towards training and lifting right and eating right and all those sort of things, but generally speaking, these people are blessed in a sense with good sort of genetics, so that they can develop lean muscle mass very quickly in most cases. Finally, the other type is your classic endomorphs, and these are the polar opposite to your ectomorphs, and that is generally lots of body fat, maybe stocky and tall, and have actual muscle mass. However, that is tends to be covered in a lot of body fat, and so you just get your classic sort of big kind of in some cases overweight people. And again, those are the three different body types. You may get somewhere in between of each one as well. So you can get the classic ectomorph and sort of somewhere in the between of a mesomorph, and somewhere in between. That essentially where I am trying to get to or am, and so that's something that you can find yourself in between as well. So not going to talk about it too much, because there is ample information out there online. Obviously check it out if you are interested in that and find out where you are. But it's important to know which you are, because it then dictates your training and your diet and what the things you should and shouldn't do. So it's very important for that. Simply put, somebody who is a classic endomorph should be very on point with their diet, because obviously every calorie tends to matter. And I was inspired a little bit by a video that I saw from Lazar Angelov the other day, and he talked about this very same thing. And again, you could go check that out on YouTube as well, so that's definitely worthwhile watching, just to give you a bit more information. However, as I said, there is lots of information out there online, and you can definitely check that out and just sort of know where you are in terms of those sort of different body compositions. If you don't know, it's basically you could be doing the wrong sort of training programs, the wrong sort of diet programs, and so forth, and therefore not have the correct results. But anyways, really, I wanted to talk about the classic ectomorphs because I am essentially one, or have been one in for most of my life, and that is somebody who struggles to put on weight. And obviously, with that comes different sort of mind states, and things that may well affect your confidence, particularly growing up. You know how it is. Kids will take the piss. In any case, be it fat, white, black, thin, slim, skinny, tall, short, alien, whatever. They will take the piss for whatever reason, and one of those reasons is your classic skinny guy, as well as obviously somebody who's overweight or fat. These two polar opposites seem to get a lot of abuse and a lot of stick, and particularly growing up, that's something that, on top of all the racism that I also had as well. So it was something that that did affect my confidence for a long time, and it's only now over the last sort of about 2, 3, 4 years maybe that I'm happy as in my own body, or have been for a long time now. But I'm happy in my own skin to be able to talk about it, and in particular for ectomorphs. For what works for me, and I suspect what would work for most ectomorphs, is not just to fill yourself with things like McDonald's or your classic junk food just to bulk up, because essentially what's going to happen is you effectively put on fat mass, and essentially what that's going to do is mask the situation. Hello. That's a nice dog. Yeah, so essentially what that's going to do is it's going to bulk the issue by masking yourself with fat, and not sort of sustainable, because your metabolism is as such that it will blitz the fat away. So on the other end of the scale, those who follow crash diets or fad diets will find they actually yo-yo in between their weight. So they may well lose weight quickly, but there is a strong link that and strong evidence to suggest that they will actually gain it back, and in most cases that they do, as soon as they stop their training programs or adjusted certain things, that their weight may well then just come back to what it should be, or what it normally is for that body composition. So that will happen. So the thing is, again, there's been a lot of literature and stuff online about fad diets and number of different diets, keto, paleo, and lots of other diets which you can look up, but ultimately they will all mostly suffer from the problem, which is of that genetic makeup, and there's no escaping that, and so you should by and large avoid that. And particularly for ectomorphs, it's something that I would not recommend, and it's something that I would definitely think about the long term, because it is essentially something that is a whole lifestyle rather than just a fad, and something which you should just be thinking about for 1 or 2, 3, 4 years. You've got one body essentially, and the idea is to try to keep that as best you can for the longest period of time that you can, to get to a sort of an age which in middle to later ages is going to sort of cooperate with you, and be there for you as much as you want it to be. And don't forget the importance of mind and body as well. They are one. You need to look after both, because both exist and need to exist as one. But coming back to just being an ectomorph, I find had I know what I know now 20 years ago, there's a lot of things that I would have done differently. Of course there is. And that is obviously just dedicate it to just a long training program of just training and just constantly eating right, and doing all the things that I'm doing now, but just basically just keep the consistency more than anything. As for results, obviously I'm not big. I'm again bound by genetics, and so you can only get the best from that as much as your genetics will allow you to. Case in point, some people are after the perfect symmetrical abs. Those are purely genetic as well, just to get this whole very nice symmetrical six-pack. You're either born with nice looking abs in terms of the symmetry, or they are just a little bit sort of unsymmetrical, if that's the correct term. And so it's it's something that you just need to accept first and foremost. And once you've accepted who you are, and you basically try to actually find that sort of the program that works for you best. And often enough, you may have to try, like a, don't want to use example, but like with diets, you might have to try 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of programs or diets to find what works. But with the training program, obviously muscles will adapt and learn and things like that, and therefore you have to, for progression, keep increasing the weights or try different programs. In fact, as the whole holistic sort of thing is going along, it's always best to incorporate all types of exercises, be it running, yoga, stretching is very, very important, on top of all the weight training. It's not just purely weight training. If you focus on just purely weight training, it's great. Yeah, you probably will gain a lot of muscle, particularly up front, in your first sort of 6 months of training. You will find that you will actually add a lot of muscle, but then what? You have to progressively overload, yes, but then you may start getting injuries and things like that because you haven't been stretching or doing the flexibility side. So all these things are important, but I think you can't put your finger on one thing. You can't just say this is the one thing that's going to work. It's a holistic thing that you have to accept and do, and that is to eat correctly, sleep, which is often overlooked, but it's so important for growth. There's a reason why babies grow the most when they are that small, and it's because they sleep a lot, and allows the sort of the body and the mind to recover and adapt and things and change. And so yeah, the importance of sleep is very, very important. But as far as ectomorphs go, as I said, it's something that you don't want to make that classic mistake of just pumping yourself full of empty calories, and those are your junk food sort of calories. It doesn't work. I mean, you'll find that you've just actually, I mean, how many times have you just eaten a McDonald's and found that it's a very big meal, but you're not even full because it's all sort of stuck here rather than sort of making its way down to your stomach. And you're better off having a lot of clean, fresh vegetables, clean proteins, things like turkey steaks, chicken, eggs, fish. All these things are what will slowly get you towards where you want to be in terms of sort of how you look and how you feel. And that's the most important thing, is how you feel inside is more important than what you look on the outside. It's a bit cliched, but it's true, because that way you will actually feel better. That will then sort of loop back and sort of help you with sort of training. If you're sleeping well, then obviously then that gives you ability to train better as well. And also training well means that you'll probably sleep better as well, because you will be tired. And things like supplementing as well, finding the right sort of supplements that you can take to help. I mean, there is no doubt that fresh fruit and vegetables and things like that are the best food sources. However, you can and you should, whilst you are sort of undertaking sort of particularly sort of rigorous training, is to actually take some sort of supplement on board. I mean, I there's no secret that I use Optimum Nutrition products, which for me they taste the best. First and foremost, from lots of different things I've tried, they don't give you stomach issues, and although the actual protein content per serving is about 25 on the Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard Whey, it's quite pure and it's quite lean as well, so there's very little in terms of calories and carbs in there as well. Just a quick note on carbs as well, very demonized sometimes, as well as fats. But the thing with carbs as well is, as ectomorphs, we need to be eating a good number of grams of carbs per day to fuel all your fuel your training, and those carb sources literally should be things like sweet potato, brown rice, quinoa, and another sort of good source is oats as well. So I mean, for breakfast I definitely most days have oats with some berries and nuts and things like that, and that is really good to keep you full, powers good sort of workouts thereafter. And so yeah, definitely recommend it. The one thing sort of to take away really from being an ectomorph is, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. Everybody has a body type, body composition, and I can guarantee you that the people sort of some people who are overweight have that same that sort of same feeling inside that they need to change and they want to change and stuff like that, which is completely normal. I mean, there's nothing about that that should be sort of knocking your confidence. I know it can do, and it has done in the past, particularly online, when you can get online abuse, and nowadays with sort of trolling and things like that. It seems to have been escalated lots before, from when we were growing up. But the thing to remember is, as an ectomorph, what you'll find is, yes, you'll be the classic skinny guy, when you're in your sort of teens and 20s and so forth. But in reality, the benefit is that when you're older, when you're in your sort of the 30s and 40s and maybe even 50s, you will still be quite lean and quite athletic, and that's a good little trade-off. I mean, somebody once said it to me that I read somewhere, in fact, that as sort of skinny guys, that you don't find clothes that fit. Believe me, I had that problem when I was younger. Everything was baggy, like super baggy, and there was no skinny fit jeans, by the way, at that time. Well, not for men, there wasn't, I don't think. And everything was just crazy baggy. Whereas nowadays, obviously, you guys have everything super skinny jeans and things like that, and everybody wants to wear tighter clothes, even myself at times, funny enough. But the point is that whilst you can't find clothes that fit you nicely, actually when you're topless and things like that, you would look better as an ectomorph with muscle as well. So it's a good trade-off. Okay, so in most cases, everybody wants to be the classic mesomorph, muscular kind of guy, but there are sort of implications to that as well. I mean, by and large, these are the classic athletic guys, big, sort of muscly, into sports, bodybuilding and things like that, but that is mostly, not all, but mostly derived out of good genetics again. So there is no reason to sort of lose sleep over that and stress about that. It's just, you just got to find the sort of programs to help you develop from an ectomorph into a mesomorph, or again, it's somewhere in between, which personally for me is probably the best, because you still have that ability to sort of burn fat very quickly, and as well as sort of transition towards that, but you will still always be that sort of, in the genetic makeup, you'd still always be that person that is an ectomorph. So it's not a bad thing. You just have to basically accept who you are, as we all do need to do, and sort of help each other along in terms of providing that information, good, honest information about how to help others to develop into that. But ultimately, it's changes that are long term, and not you shouldn't be seeking a quick fix in any case. Really, it's always about the long term, and trying to help yourself sort of more over the years as you sort of grow and age, and particularly as you start hitting your sort of middle ages and sort of the latter years. If you didn't look after yourself up front in your 20s and your 30s, and I often think that when you're about 30, it's the sort of the between 30 and 35, I think it's the crossroads that I've often wondered that if you carry on doing all the things in terms of what you were doing when you were sort of in your late teens, early 20s, be it drinking and smoking, partying, and these sort of things, which is all good and fun and so forth, but there comes a point where you can't do that and partying every night and getting in at 3 a.m, steaming drunk, and then going out and doing it all over again the following day, which I have done in the past, mind you, but you just can't do it. Your body can't handle it anymore. So and you won't pay the price immediately then and there. My feeling is that you definitely pay the price after your 30s, and that's where you balloon in terms of your weight or your ability to exercise and do things, and unfortunately disease may sort of set in and things like that, and lots of different things. So ultimately, you've got one body, as we know, from what we know. The thing is, are you going to sort of trash it, or are you going to look after it, and particularly look after it as you get sort of 30 plus? And that's the key thing, because after that, it's sort of it can be sort of a, you know, your body can be your own prison really, which is not nice, but it can happen. So yeah, I would definitely recommend for most people, and particularly ectomorphs, is to just concentrate on sort of consistency in training and what you eat. And that might not be for me. I mean, recently I've been obviously training quite a bit, but you can definitely sort of see results within sort of 2 to 3 times a week of an optimum sort of workout, with a nice sort of with a nice sort of clean diet, with the odd few cheat days here and there, and that's enough to give you results. It honestly is. Obviously, if you want to progress to a sort of more sort of athletic and more sort of mesomorph kind of body composition or type, you know, build, then that requires probably a lot more training in the gym. However, not all of us have got the time to do that. So yeah, ectomorphs, definitely this is one for you. Not alone. Definitely drop me some messages, some comments, and I'll be more than happy to share sort of what I think is sort of a good sort of step in the right direction in terms of how you should sort of you know, go about sort of changing your body and things. And yeah, definitely give me some comments, some feedback. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be more than happy to respond. Take care.